I'm Tabitha Rock.
And I'm Sam Davenport.
Born and bred in Melbourne, we live and breathe property, and we know the Melbourne market like the back of our hand. We've both been buying and selling real estate in Metro Melbourne for over 2 decades combined, and we've learned a few lessons along the way.
Welcome back to the Prop Culture Podcast, final episode of Season 6. Here we are, Tabitha Robb.
Sam Davenport.
With what I feel is a very important topic to end the season on, to start the spring selling season with.
Yeah. You sounded like a radio presenter then.
I almost feel like
didn't
one.
know what was happening. Like,
yeah, you're looking at me like, what's happening?
Yeah, the concern on my face was, is this a practice run or are we doing this? But anyway, love the serious nature.
We're diving in.
Tell us, what is today's topic?
We're giving you 6 questions. We feel like buyer advocacy as an industry is on the rise. It has been. We know that we've doubled the number of advocates in Melbourne over the last 5 years. We know that the industry is now basically booming, and it's being sold with, to newcomers into the industry with online courses and just do this, and then you can have flexibility and earn millions of dollars. And so what that means when you have growth like that in an industry is that you've got to be really careful as a consumer of who it is that you're dealing with, and you really want to make sure they know what they're doing. It's very important. Your most likely biggest investment of your life, you really want to make sure it's handled well. So for all of those listeners who are planning to engage a buyer's advocate for this spring season, and you want to buy before Christmas, we've got some questions that you need to be asking those advocates you're interviewing.
100%. You need to do research and due diligence. I mean, if you're listening to this podcast, well done, because I think getting information is key. I often say to people, especially we've had a few people on over the recent months wanting investment properties in Victoria, and they're usually interstate. And I'm like, don't get sold snake oil. Like,
what's that?
Snake oil?
I thought you said steak oil.
Oh, snake.
I was like, that would be terrible. Steak oil. Snake oil.
Snake oil. But just in terms of your property investment, like, if people are saying they buy 80% of their properties off market, or they, save their clients $700,000. What? That sounds
like
fugazi.
Bullshit. Fugazi.
It's just, I think.
Fugazi's the best word going around.
I know. I think it's just, be sensible about this.
Yeah.
We're 7 years in business. We're getting a lot of past client referrals. They're happy. They've seen us in action. And so the clients that come to us off the back of those, know what we do, and they've had social proof. But the ones that are coming off the TikToks and the newsletters and the podcasts, they're not necessarily have seen us in the game. But shop us around to other advocates.
Oh my
We're
God,
the best
I love
in the
to be
business.
shopped.
Yeah, don't stress. We're not worried about a bit of competition, but be equipped with some good questions to ask these advocates because our industry has got a bit rogue.
It's definitely gone rogue, and because with our industry, the REIV, which is the governing body of real estate in Victoria, their focus has always been, and as it should have been, on the sales agents and on the property management departments of offices, because that was the vast majority of who was operating in the industry. So in many ways, with this sort of new section of the industry coming in, I mean, just watch, they'll come for us in many, many ways, which is great. They need to in compliance. Yeah. Exactly right.
Well, there's already all that stuff coming in about the identity compliance that because of so much fraud in our industry, that's coming in 2026. Which obviously we're across because we are REIV members. And that is one good question to ask. Are you members of the Real Estate Buyers Advocate Association or of the Real Estate Institute of Victoria? And I think the people that aren't members, they'll sort of fob it off like, oh, what, paying for another membership? What does that get you? What does that even mean? Anyone can apply. You've just got to pay your membership. Well, in fact, not. They are hoops you've got to jump through to be able to get these memberships. One, having like the minimum insurance requirements around liability and indemnity. So like that's pretty key. And I think especially that's key because there's so many sole operators in our game. So just knowing that they're a membership of these two organizations means they've got absolute like the bare minimum standard in terms of compliance because we have to get the tick of approval from these organizations. So, it's like, I've recommended a builder recently and the client was like, are they members of what is it called? The Builders Association or whatever. And I was like, oh no. And, one builder wasn't a member and he's sort of like, oh, well, they don't do much and it just means, we have to get. It
just means that I have put myself into the next realm of operations.
Yeah, exactly. So I think that's one really good question. High level,
High level,
double
yes
check.
Or no? Yeah.
You can search on the Real Estate Institute of Victoria's website or REBA's website. You can actually, shop us against people that are on those two websites. That would even be great. But I think that's definitely a good question to ask to get you started.
Definitely. And then, whether or not that's your leading question, who knows? But at some point, and you don't want to be an asshole and drill people too hard, but you want to understand what their experience is in real estate. So, a lot of people will talk about their transferable skills from other industries and, I was a lawyer, so I can read contracts really well.
I can negotiate.
I was a school teacher, so I'm really good at managing like different groups of people. No, we're not talking transferable skills. What I want to know from you is what is your industry experience, so your real estate experience. That might be that they were a property manager. They might have been a department head. They might have been, an office manager within the industry. Whatever it is, you should have an understanding of what their experience is within the industry because that's going to give you an indicator on exactly how they're, where their skill set lies in operating on your behalf when buying property, which is not as straightforward as people would think.
The I negotiate for a living conversation makes me laugh so hard. I'm like, this is a whole nother ball game. Like the levers that we pull and knowing when to pull those is like no other. Like, I used to had a short stint in the car industry. Well, selling cars and, negotiating on car deals is completely different to real estate transactions. So, yes, I was, if you're a car salesperson, does that make you a good advocate? Not necessarily.
Yeah, not necessarily.
So, exactly. What's your experience? How long have you been in it? Who else have you worked for? How long did you work there? What, have you had experience on the other side of the fence or, even people coming from the industry bodies like a CoreLogic or something, they're data driven or are they ex-valuers?
Yeah.
Even ex-valuers are great because they're knowledgeable about,
how to value real estate.
How to value real estate, but they probably don't have that negotiation element and that is critical in the transaction and the process that we do for clients.
Exactly right. And that's where just knowing exactly what their background in real estate is so that you can then work out, like, does that match what I'm looking for and my needs and which market I'm in. The Melbourne market, inner city Melbourne market for a $1.8 million house versus, a little bit more rural property purchase is you're going to have different needs from that advocate. So it doesn't necessarily mean they need to sit into a specific box, but does their experience match your needs?
Yeah. The next one is on fees. Yeah. And I think this one's interesting because you just want to make sure you're getting really unbiased, educated information from the right people and the right team. And so this question is trying to drill into that. And it is, I found you via X person. Are you paying them a referral fee or anyone a referral fee? Do you, like the solicitor that you're referring to, do they pay you a referral fee?
Yeah.
Because I know, and I've probably said this before, if I see one particular solicitor or conveyancer on a contract, I know that estate agent has got a referral fee, guaranteed, no jokes. And so I think it's very important to ask this question. And it might not change your mind in terms of using that advocate, but it's just around transparency and disclosure and understanding if that referral has come completely unbiased and they think they're the best person for the job or they're just getting a clip of the ticket.
Yeah.
Because getting a clip of the ticket means you might get, very different advice. So I think that's an important one. And obviously in the authority there will be a section on commission sharing. We have to have that as
a
standard clause in all the authorities that are signed when you're an advocate or an agent. But just face
ask
to face.
The question.
Yeah.
Ask the question. So do you share your commission? And what that gives you is an understanding of that person's motivations as well. So, getting referral, $150 referral fee from a conveyancer is one thing, but getting a referral from a developer to purchase within their building is a very different story. And so asking, let's say, for example, we work on a flat fee. Okay, so that's your flat fee. Do you get paid in any other way through this process whilst you're a client of yours? No, we don't. We don't do any referral fees. I mean, we love a little prezi, at Christmas time, a little candle or something. But no, we don't do any referral fees, and that's I love a freaking candle.
Everyone says candles are overrated. Like, don't give a candle. Like, what a shit present. But I'm like, give me a candle. I mean, make sure it smells nice.
It's got to smell good.
Yeah.
I don't want anything vanilla.
Oh, I like vanilla. No. See, it's very controversial.
See, that's tough. Immediately tough now.
Yeah.
Maybe just give me champagne.
I don't want it. Anyway.
No. So that just understanding whether or not there's anything. And look, read the contracts, anything you're signing, because legally they're definitely supposed to disclose anything that is coming their way along the process. But asking the question up front is always a good way to see. Are they squirming? Are they immediately uncomfortable? And then now are they going to tell you something that definitely doesn't fit with what your idea of the process should be? Then you're not speaking to the right person.
Yeah, absolutely. And talking about process, I mean, obviously you need to ask, what is their process? How does it all work? What's included? What's not included?
Yeah.
I mean, I think all advocates should be going through that, I would imagine, in their client consults. But just sort of, ask things along the way, like, is there additional fees if we miss out and we go again and we have to purchase again? Or
what if I decide to change my mind at this point in time? What happens in terms of your communication? How are you going to communicate with me? I mean, we obviously sit down and we go through with people from start to finish. Hypothetically, if you sign on today, this is what it would look like. Mm-hmm. Boom, 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 boom. We've got very clear steps of our process, which is why it is, proven to be so successful, is because we've got a very clear process in place. But what you want to understand from people is how often are they working on your search?
Yeah.
And when are they going to let you know about that? And when do you get involved? And how is it going to look if this happens? And what if you find that? And I think without knowing that, time passes by really quick and you can easily go a week or two without hearing anything from them, and you're like, are you still looking for me, or am I looking for me and I'm letting you know, or how is it working?
Yeah. That's actually just what you said then made me think, well, there's two probably other questions we can slot in here, which is, how many clients do you work with, and do you work with people that have the same sort of brief as me? So are they looking for the same thing and I'm just on sort of a conveyor belt going through, or is it super specific and super bespoke?
100%.
Because I think that does just change it. You might still be comfortable working with an advocate that does that has people with the same brief, because then you might think, oh, they're, working solely in that area. Great, they're specialised. Or that might make you feel very uncomfortable because, hey, if you get a good off market, is it first in best dress? Is it who replies to your email first?
Exactly.
Where does it get to be complicated, I would think. We obviously don't take people on with competing briefs.
Which makes it so easy for us. So I truly don't understand how you do it.
Well, I think they're volume-based businesses.
But what if they both want the same one that's on market? And now it's auction.
Yeah.
I don't get how that works. But anyway, it happens. So definitely ask that question. That is a really key question. Do you take on buyers with competing briefs? And look, everyone can fudge answers to anything to make it make sense. So they could say no, and really the only difference is that you said you only want one bathroom and this other person said 2 bathrooms. So that's the difference. I mean, same property, that would be considered the same brief. But yeah, whether or not they've got access to off markets is one of the questions that you would ask them as well. And every advocate who knows anything is going to say yes to that question. But that question in conjunction with understanding whether there's competing briefs is what's probably most important is, am I going to get exclusive access to any off market you uncover, or are you shopping it around to multiple people before it comes to me?
That off-market question just made me think we should include what not to ask, because if someone asks me what percentage of properties I buy off-market, I'm like, oh, who have you been chatting to and what have they been saying? Because like realistically, any good advocate should be buying an absolute maximum of 30% of off-market properties.
Because the off-market property we see, only 30% is priced right, good quality, A-grade real estate.
Oh
so
my God.
if you're buying any more than that,
50%, 60%, you're overpaying.
and you're buying compromised property at a high price.
Kills me. I'm like 20%. And if you want me to buy more than that, you can use another
Use
advocate.
someone else. If you just want to tell people you bought off market, do it.
Like
Not with us.
So many of my most satisfied clients have bought a private sale that has failed at auction, and it's in the couple of weeks post auction.
That's the best.
They
the vendors
are
in the hurt
my
locker.
happiest. They've done the best. So I reckon, how about you ask me how many post-auction failed
Negotiations,
auctions?
yeah. Overpriced, negotiated down to a price point where the neighbour sees it and goes, I didn't realise you would sell for that. I would have bought it at that.
100%.
Yeah.
Like, ask me that question and I'll get you to sign on the dotted line.
And and that leads us into like the last question, which you would ask someone if you're sitting down in a 45-minute coffee conversation with them, would be around, show me some examples of past purchases and client results. And that is, it doesn't necessarily, and this is for the people who are listening who are going to ask these questions, people they're interviewing, don't get too caught up on, is this example exactly my brief? And is it in the area I'm seeking? It doesn't really matter. It just give me an example of how you operate and what you've done for past clients in any area for any brief. And it gives you what them talking to you about how they've done something is going to give you a major insight into exactly how they operate and what it's likely to look like whilst you're working with them. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. And I mean, there's so many other questions that I feel like.
Do you physically inspect the property before purchase?
Oh my gosh.
That's one that's coming up a lot now. You know how many advocates are not looking at the houses, people? Anybody scared by that? That scares me.
I'm scared.
I'm like, sorry, what? Oh,
Yeah.
you're just going off the paper. Okay. That's crazy.
That's crazy. I mean, the
It's-
experience is just number one. Like, please just use someone with experience. We went to a buyer's advocate lunch, and I just, it was very.
It was eye-opening.
It was eye-opening.
Anyway.
But, we hope this has been helpful because we think it's fantastic that there's more people are using advocates.
Yeah.
But we want people just to make really informed decisions. And if it's not us, poor you. But if it is us, great. But shop around, ask the right questions.
Yeah.
I mean,
ask the right questions. Interview properly.
Even if we get tradespeople, we say get a couple of quotes, you know.
Always.
But I always say to my clients, the people I'm interested in introducing you to probably aren't the cheapest tradies out there because they're quality work, they're reliable, they're on time, they're responsive.
Which
all these things.
Which is money.
Yeah.
So this is where it all comes back to what is the risk here for people employing the wrong advocate is huge amounts of money.
So, oh my God, little story for you. So I recently have been looking for an investor out in the sort of Coburg North area. Got an off-market property, great. The asking price was $1 million. We only had $1 million, so we were pretty we needed $1 million to get this. So it's probably worth that. If it went to the open market, maybe it would get $1 million, $20 million and $50. To be honest, it would have probably got $1 million and $50 in the open market. So anyway, we're about to submit our $1 million. Another advocate paid 1.1 with no competition, with the asking price of $1 million. I'm like, I said to the agent, can you send me the comps they're using to justify a purchase price of $1 million, of 1.1 on this purchase? I'm like, so that advocate probably charged that person 1% or 2%. No, they cost them 11% or 12%.
Cost them.
They overpaid by $100,000. We were the only other party on it, and we only had $1 million.
Yeah, so they could have bought it for $1.15 million. Yeah, exactly.
Like, I just,
it is crazy to me.
I just see it, and actually, the agent told me who the advocate was.
Oh, you didn't tell me.
No, and I was like, do better. I will.
We'll do better. But this is the problem that do you care about what you do? I mean, people get really complacent, I think. It's very easy to just start churning through and transacting quickly because that's what's easiest in the moment. But, yeah, I mean, you just never want to have to cross the street. That's my whole thing. Like, I just want to be able to walk down the street and anyone who's coming towards me, I just say hi. Absolutely. I don't want to have to cross the road because I've done the wrong thing by someone. And it's like I don't think people care about that though. That's as simple as that.
Yeah. Well, maybe they're moving to Europe or something.
Oh, yeah, okay.
After they're screwing all
over to Spain.
over to where did we hate? I don't know. Anyway. Key takeaways. Let's run through them again. Ask, what is your background in real estate? How long have you been in the game? What do you know? What side of the fence have you been on? Are you a member of professional bodies like REBA or the REIV? How are you paid? Are there any referral fees being paid to any person or paid to you or from you to anyone in this process? Can you show me examples of past purchases and client results and a bit of a case study? Can I call that past client? Are you okay with that? So many of our clients say, if anyone wants to sort of vet you and have any questions, give our details. What's your process from initial brief to settlement and beyond? And obviously, do you have access to off markets? But that is with a caveat. Sirens should be going off if they say they buy anything over 30% of properties off market. Absolute red flag. And they're either lying and because they think it's impressive or they do and they're overpaying. So happy you've joined us for another season. Are we
not going to do?
We should.
Very kill.
Okay.
The people would be up in arms.
They would. We would get hate letters.
Oh, my God. Handwritten. To the home would freak me out. Oh. To the office, I'm fine with.
So that it reminds me of my cousin actually sold a commercial property and she'd never given her home address, and they dropped off their commercial proposal, single woman, to her home address. She was like, that is the biggest invasion of privacy. Yeah, and they found her home address because it must have been a tribute, like somewhere on
They've sorted out.
Yeah, they found –
Ew.
Anyway.
Proactive in the wrong way.
Don't send hate mail to our home addresses because we'll get upset.
Don't even try
okay, let's do it.
Marry, kill. So we're talking about buyers advocates, new in the industry. There's a lot of perks that get talked about, and there's actually a lot of perks in the industry. So I want to know.
Okay.
F, marry, kill, buyer advocacy perks, okay? Early access to off markets.
Okay.
So that's a huge perk. We find out about property before the regular buyer does, obviously. So I think that's amazing. Anyway, flexible weekday schedule, working schedule. You might work consistently all week long, all 7 days, but it's flexible. You might get your nails done at 10 a.m. on Tuesday instead of after 5 p.m. like everyone else because we're working till 10 p.m. Being the calm voice during client freakouts and being able to really manage people and help them through what we know is a crazy process.
Okay. This is really complicated. I think I'm killing the flexible work because I think that's everyone.
Yeah,
everyone. I'm in the nail salon at 10 a.m. and everyone else is there.
Yes, everyone else is there.
Yeah, and I'm on the phone and, typing my keyboard with my feet. No, don't.
Because aren't you getting a pedicure?
Yeah, true. The double. I'm killing that off. Look, I think I'm effing the conversations and the calming because I don't get that too often because I do work with quite sensible humans, and yes, you get the occasional that are really like highly emotionally charged, but a lot of the time it's just for a moment. So I think whilst it's good, I'll dip in and dip out, but I love access to off-market properties, even if, to be honest, they're overpriced, just to see what's coming up and being able to let my clients know they are seeing everything available. Well, not 100%, but 99.9% of the options that are available on the market. So, I love that.
Yeah. I think we have to keep that one in the mix because how can you not? That's a huge part of our job. But interestingly, I'm going to F it because I just find so often, even when I give my clients like the property at the price, they often feel like without the social proof, they're
So
nervous.
true.
And no matter what I tell them or how much information I give them and how supportive I am in showing them this is why this is a great opportunity and you should grab it and run, they still feel like they didn't fight against anyone for it and therefore no one else wants it and they're making this weird, huge mistake.
Yeah.
I just feel that's always an underlying
That's so
thing.
interesting. Good. Yes.
Yes. Oh, I love my flexible weekday schedule. I love it so much. I love it so much.
Yeah.
But I've never worked in an industry that didn't have it.
Yes.
So I would never work in an industry that didn't have it. So I'll kill it.
Okay.
Okay? I'll kill it because I expect it as a constant in my life. Being the calm voice during client freakouts, I'll probably marry that.
Okay. You've got a bit of counsellor in you though.
I definitely do. I'm one of many children and I might be called the peacemaker in the family. But it's more just like, even if you're right in that we don't want to spend too much time on that. You can't engage with it too much because that's not what we're there to do. But certainly like naming the feeling just by looking at their face, it usually helps them.
100%.
Yeah.
Okay. Love it.
Love it.
End of our season. Thanks for joining. We'll see you next time.
Season 7.
You.